What is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning into another edition of On the Road to Victory. I am your host, Jimmy Smith, and I hope you're all having yourselves a fantastic Thursday night. But it being Thursday, that means we're here for the top 13 matchups between the Eagles and their divisional round opponent, the Los Angeles Rams. So we went over the other day everything about the Rams you needed to know. We went over yesterday the injury report for both teams. We're going to touch up on both of those things today. You'll see what both the Eagles and the Rams look like, their injuries that are going on, what they were able to do in the offseason, in the regular season, in the postseason. We'll talk about all that stuff and then jump into the top matchups for this game. So I appreciate you all taking the time. Not a live video, but still love to hear from you down below. Appreciate you guys hitting that like button, sharing, subscribing, all the things you're doing to support the channel. Cannot thank you enough, but I don't know about you. I'm ready to run through a wall waiting for this damn game. I hear all the slander. I see all the BS about Jalen Hurts and the Rams are the greatest team ever. And people upset Kellen Moore's, getting an interview with 3 different teams. And look, when you're good, unfortunately, I saw one of the comments today, the Eagles should stop hiring good coordinators so that way they don't get hired away. I'd rather be a good team and lose a coordinator than, just suck. So it's a business, and it's an unfortunate side of the business. I hate the fact that they're able to interview while in the playoffs. Really hate it. But some of these teams off season, like the shitty Cowboys, have already begun, so they're looking for a new coach. And I understand that, but it really does suck, and you can deny the request, but Eagles allowing him to get those 3 interviews in. I think it's the Saints and Jaguars. And, of course, today the Cowboys came out, and they will interview him on Saturday. So it's unfortunate, but let's go regardless. And it sucks. We saw what happened with Gannon, but this stuff happens all the time. And maybe it's going to drive him to be better. You don't know what kind of person he is, what's going to happen. Hopefully he's not, tuning out here. Maybe he really steps it up here, improves his worth. That'd be great. But we'll find out here Sunday at 3 o'clock. When the Eagles and the Rams go down. And you can see on Saturday it all begins with the Chiefs and the Texans, and then the Lions and Commanders to see who the first teams in the championship games are. And then Sunday, the Eagles and Rams, and then finish it up with the Bills and Ravens. And we'll know who are in the NFC and AFC championship games. So I'm getting pumped up. But it's 1 week at a time. So if the Eagles want to make it to that championship game, we got to beat the Rams one more time this season. So let's talk about both these teams, get to know a little bit about them, and then we'll jump into the top matchups. And the Eagles this year had a phenomenal regular season. You can see 7th in points, 8th in total yardage. And you can take all this with a grain of salt, but it gives you an idea of what they were good at. Obviously, running the ball. Didn't have to pass the ball. When they did, they were phenomenal at that. Gave up too many sacks for my liking. Cleaned up those turnovers, though. That was great. The defense, I think, when we talked about before training camp, this being the best D in the league, I really think it is now. So you can see why I made those breakdowns of what we talked about. 2nd in points, 1st against total yardage there, 1st against the pass, 10th against the run. Now tied for 13th in sacks. Obviously a bunch of injuries there. And then you see the edge at least. And then you can see 6th in turnovers there. So started to get turnovers, stopped turning the ball over. That is really, how you win football games in the NFL. So love to see that. And look, going up against a Rams team that, wasn't the greatest. They had some injuries here. So, again, take it all with a grain of salt. But you see 20th in points, 15th in total yardage, 24th in rushing, 10th in passing, 6th, though, in sacks given up, and tied for 4th in turnovers there. So not giving up sacks, not turning the ball over. That's, bodes well for them. Then on the defensive side of the ball, definitely had their struggles. But you saw they did pretty well against the Vikings. And you see, now they're apparently the best defense in the playoffs right now. And all this wild stuff I'm seeing out there. And that's great. They had a good game. But it's the NFL. You can have a good game. You can have a bad game every single week. So they had more bad than they did good. So I'm not sure I'm ready to, listen to these narratives. So, I never do with these weirdos out here. But the media is going wild with it. Rams, greatest team that ever was in the playoffs. Okay, we're going to put that to the test on Sunday. But let's take a look at these teams before we talk about these top matchups in this game. And we did get the injury report for both teams. So Dallas Goedert today for the Eagles was added with an illness. But it's Thursday, so he's got a few days. Hopefully he'll be all right. Hopefully he'll even be back at practice tomorrow. We shall see. But he did not practice today with that illness. You can see A.J. Brown came back to practice in a limited capacity. We know we're letting that knee rest, so nothing to worry about there for this game. Kenny Pickett, full participant. Byron Young, full. But He's still on IR. They don't have to, activate him. So we'll see. But he's been full since last week. All of last week, he was a full participant. So we'll keep up with that. But that's all that's going on for the Eagles. And that's fantastic news. Obviously, you want Goddard to play. I think he'll be all right there. They've got great medicine there. So hopefully they do what they can to get him back. And then the Rams, Bobby Brown, again, did not practice. And the same goes for Akella Witherspoon. So 2 starters there not practicing. That's not great news. But some good news, Alaric Jackson was a full participant after not practicing yesterday. Tyler Higbee limited again today. They are very hopeful he plays in this one. And then they designated to return off of IR, Laryl Murchison and Troy Reeder. And both those guys returned to practice today and were full participants. We'll see if they get activated off of IR for this game. But I'll keep you up to date. Tomorrow will be the game status report. You'll see who's out, who's questionable. Maybe they activate somebody, whatever it is. I'll keep you up to date with all that news tomorrow. But just want to keep you up with that stuff. And well, let's take a look now at both of these teams' depth charts, injury list, and practice squads. So if there are injuries, you can decide who maybe gets elevated on Saturday, all that stuff we do each and every week here. But the Eagles, you can see their IR list. Again, Byron Young designated to return. So maybe he comes off or maybe his season ends. But Bradbury, Clark, Covey, Dean, Driscoll, Graham, and Van Sumeren still there. So you will not see any of these guys on the depth chart. And you can see the depth chart here. Again, AJ is going to be fine. Dallas Goedert is going to be fine, but you have depth pieces in place in case anything were to happen. So other than that, everybody's healthy on this offense, ready to rock and roll. And the same goes for the defensive side of the ball. And obviously we placed Nakobe Dean on IR. That's horrible news. But Oren Burks, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. going to have to figure it out here. Hey, next man up. Then the special teams department, everybody healthy, good to go there. And you got lots of options at returner in case anything were to happen. So everybody healthy there. But if they want to elevate anyone, want to get another, elevation out of Kari Blossom game. Again, remember in the postseason, there is so if he was elevated 3 times, anybody, they can be elevated for the playoffs as many times as they want. So Blossom game, definitely an option there. You've got some defensive players, maybe need some help on special teams with those linebackers, Burks and Trotter Jr., having to focus more at the actual linebacker position. Maybe someone like Nicholas Morrow or Dallas Gannigan. We shall see. Now, the Rams, their IR, we talked about Reeder and Murchison. Both are able to come off of IR, so that's great news for them. But you got Corum, Hampton, Kendrick, Leviston, Tomlinson still on there, as well as McDermott. You will not see these guys on their depth charts. Offensive side of the ball, we talked about Alaric Jackson being back. Fantastic news for them. Everybody else is healthy there, except for Higbee, who is limited. So we shall see if he's ready to rock and roll for this game after that chest injury. But, very explosive offense we'll talk about here shortly. Excuse me, I hate the fact that I'm still sick. But defensive side of the ball, Bobby Brown, the third, did not practice. So we'll see if he's ready for this game. And that would be a big loss for them in the middle there. But other than that, Akella Witherspoon, your opposite corner of Darius Williams, he is out. So maybe Kobe Durant gets a start. Maybe Emmanuel Forbes is thrown in there to shed a tear for A.J. Brown. But other than that, guys are healthy, and I'll keep you up to date with those injuries. And then you can see here in the special teams department, Whittington Smith as the returners, and then the rest of the specialists there. Now, here is their practice squad in case you missed it. They want to elevate 2 of these guys for the game. Whoever they want, they can do that. And I will keep you up to date with that. Saturday, you will get those practice squad elevations. Tomorrow, on Friday, is the game status report, so you'll know who is out, who is questionable. So that's all the info you need to know. Now let's take a look at these top 13 matchups. And you know how I do this. I like to talk about special teams. Then I like to talk about offense or defense. So don't get too caught up with the numbers. I kind of just try to create a narrative and paint a picture here with these matchups. So let's talk about them. Love to hear your thoughts. Who's your favorite matchup, position-wise, or, one-on-one, whatever. And obviously, it's football. So it's not just going to be one guy versus one guy. So I talk about the positions, but it could be other positions again. You get it. So let's break it down. Let's talk about it. Jumping in at number 13 here, starting with the special teams, and Whittington and Smith, as we just mentioned there. But we've got Rodgers returning the ball now. Coop DeJean back there. Those are 2 explosive guys that I think one of these guys can maybe break one in this game. I'd love to come back to this video talking about Isaiah Rodgers or Cooper DeJean's return touchdown. We need a spark from the special teams, and I think, that would be fantastic to see one of those guys doing that. And then you've got Whittington and Smith, decent returners on the other side. Definitely want to watch out for those guys. So maybe a spark from either team. But I think this Eagles team finally giving us the returners we talked about for a while now, and Rodgers has been getting that chance. Now, I want to start it off. The first time we played them, we talked about our defense shutting down their offense. And look, I still want to do that. But I think more so what I want to talk about, we're going to start it with the Eagles defense here. And, Milton Williams had himself a game last time, had a couple of sacks in there. Carter, Davis, monsters in the middle going up against Avila, Dotson, and the rookie Bo Limmer now at center. So maybe we could do some work to these guys. And I really think that, one of the best interior D lines in the game here for the Eagles. This is how it begins in the trenches. This is how you create pressure. This is how you stop the run. These big boys in the middle do some work, open some things up on the outside for these edge guys. When you're talking about Smith, Sweat, now Jalix Hunt, Bryce Huff, not really part of it, but maybe he gets some action against Alaric Jackson, Rob Havenstein, and, Jackson, again, was a full participant, so should be good to go. We'll see. But these edge guys, obviously it sucks. You lost Brandon Graham. You obviously never want to lose anybody, but a team leader like that, it blows. But it's next man up in these parts. So whoever wants to go out and get it done, let's go do it. Nolan Smith's been having a phenomenal season. So let's get to the quarterback. Let's shut these guys down, not give him time to get to these weapons. And one of those weapons, Tyler Higbee, with the chest injury, last week against the Vikings, coughing up blood, very unfortunate, went to the hospital. Hopefully he's all right. He was limited at practice. So he's a big weapon for Matthew Stafford. And, that's great, trying to get to the tight end when you have other weapons. And with Nakobe Dean out, they're going to try to attack there. Obviously, our linebackers, our safeties, our corners, everybody's going to have to do their part. But you got some damn good safeties, and if they try to attack the middle, let's use them. Gardner, Johnson, Blankenship, do what you got to do, and let's shut down Tyler Higbee if he is out there. I think, a big piece of their offense, but someone we definitely can match up against. And another, big weapon for them is Kyron Williams. I think one of the more underrated running backs in this game. He can do it all. He can run. He can catch. Dude returns the ball. I mean, he's a very talented player. But, we've got Burks and now Trotter Jr. instead of Dean. So that is a loss. But he averaged 4.5 yards per carry last time we played him. He had a touchdown. He definitely is somebody, he can catch the ball as well. He didn't have any catches against us the first time. But you got to watch out for him regardless. But Zach Bond having an all-pro, MVP, defensive, player of the year kind of season. This dude has been lights out. Time to step it up, especially with Dean out. He's going to be wearing the green dot. He will be in charge of the defense. So a big game. Let's make them one-dimensional. It's going to be a cold game. You're going to want to be able to run the ball. Let's take that away from them. Let's clean up the missed tackles, Burks, and let's put Kyron Williams in the dirt. Now, speaking of weapons, these are the real weapons here. And this was the number one matchup last time, Coop versus Coop, DeJean versus Cup. We talked about how excited I was for that, but also Puka Nacua and Quinyon Mitchell, Demarcus Robinson out there, Darius Slay. So a lot of weapons, and, they do use Tyler Johnson, other weapons on their, team. But I think, obviously, we have one of the best secondaries in the game, and this is going to be really fun to watch. They did, do some work last time. Cup had 8 catches for 60 yards and a touchdown. Puka Nacua had 9 catches for 117 yards. Tutu Atwell had 3 catches for 30 yards. Demarcus Robinson had 2 for 15, 1 for Tyler Johnson. So they used their receivers. But look, man, it's going to be snowy. It's going to be crappy. Doesn't mean you can't throw the ball. Just not so much the long balls. You see a little bit less of that. More of the, short intermediate throws. But look, shut them down, and you could have yourself a game. And look, this secondary is still very young. Obviously, Slay, not very young, but these guys are still learning, still getting better, and another tough test. But, hey, they already played them, so we'll find out what they learned and what they can do against these stud wide receivers for the Los Angeles Rams. But, in my opinion, the best secondary in the game. So go out, shut them down. And, obviously, the number one piece of their offense here, we're going to talk about Matthew Stafford. And, as much as everybody's riding the D right now for the Rams and, oh, my God, they're so great, And he did have like 243 yards the first time, 2 touchdowns, 24 36. He did well. But again, it's going to be snowy. It's going to be shitty. And I don't think that you're going to be out here just throwing it nonstop. So, hey, man, to me, he struggled when it is cold. This Eagles D, we're built for this, baby. So put him in the dirt. Again, make it one-dimensional. Put it in his hands. I bet you he'll turn that ball over a couple of times. I know he's a good quarterback, and I know, he's had a shitty career having to be on the Lions forever when they suck. Then he leaves, and it was really trading him away that helped them, build that. But regardless, both the teams won from that trade. He's been doing well, but he's going up against the best defense in the league. So get some pressure on him, shut him down, cause some turnovers here, and I think this Eagles D could have their way. I don't care what the media says, and I know they've got a lot of weapons, but we faced a lot of teams with a lot of weapons, including the Rams, and, well, we shut them down. So it's going to be a great matchup to see. They're no pushover, that's for sure. But one thing we need is the offense. We can't just leave the defense hanging. So let's talk about it. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is getting those receivers involved. So, in games where you're able to run the ball, you don't have to throw the ball. And I know the media really gets caught up with that, but it makes perfect sense to me. Now, in that first game we played him, AJ had 6 catches, 109 yards, and a touchdown. And look, we didn't have Devontae Smith playing. So I think, honestly, this is going to be a game where we're even better. And, yeah, maybe the Rams are a little better, but if Witherspoon is out, and Durant starting, you got Lake there, and Kinchins, the safety, helps out there. I mean, they've got versatile D-backs, but, dude, Brown, Smith, Dotson, give them those quick slants. We talk about the short intermediate throws. Let's get those going and put the ball in their hands and watch them work. So, look, AJ had himself a day without Devontae, but they're both here. And there's going to be one thing we talk about where I don't think you necessarily have to throw the ball as much. So, when the time is called upon, third down or, just little play action, the RPO stuff going on, just make sure it counts when you are called upon, just like we talked about with Dotson, and then he had that touchdown last week. Hey, we don't need you to have 5 catches. We don't need a 1,000-yard season out of our wide receiver 3, who's like the 6th, 7th option on this offense. We just need you to step up when the time is called, and we might not need Brown and Smith so much, where I hear a lot about the high scoring. I think with the weather, it's going to be more defense. So they've got a good defense. But these corners, not as great as everybody's, hyping them up to be. So that's cool. And, the secondary is whole. You've got Kinchins there, McCullough, the rookies, Cam Curl they picked up from the Commanders. So they've got some talented pieces, some young pieces there. But you saw AJ, Devontae, and Dotson. We've also got Dallas Goedert. And, Dallas Goedert, he had those 4 catches, 19 yards. He's healthy now, and he's going to play this whole game, and he's going to do some work. And obviously he was out with an illness today, but I think he'll be all right when it comes to, body-wise. So healthy there. Let's get him going. Let's work the middle. Let's do some work to these safeties, linebackers, and I think Dallas Goedert could be an X factor for this game. Let's get him involved, and let's do some things. And if you want to be able to get to these guys, well, it begins in the trenches. So Dickerson, Juergens, Becton, boys in the middle, big boys. They got to continue to do work. And, you've got a talented rookie and Fisk you see there. You got Turner, and we'll see if Bobby Brown's ready to go. But you got Davis, Gallimore, Johnson there. So if people are hurt, they're going to have to figure it out there. But Fisk did have himself a sack in that last game, the only one to get a sack. So let's protect Jalen Hurts. Let's clean some things up. And, well, let's bulldoze them so we can, run that damn ball. But I also want to protect the edges. We know these guys are getting sack city last week against the Vikings, but the Vikings don't have our offensive line. Yeah, they got 9 sacks, and now all of a sudden they're the best defense in NFL history, but not in my opinion. So love Byron Young, Jared Verse, very talented rookie, Michael Hope even, Keir Thomas. You've got some talent there, but we got the best tackles in the game, the best duo right here. Left tackle and right tackle, Mailata and Lane Johnson. So protect the quarterback. Do your thing. Shut them down like you did last time. We talked about this in the first matchup where they have a lot of talent, but I'm good on that, man. I don't really care that, stats and this and that, what they did last week. That doesn't mean they're going to do the same exact. We're a different team, man. This is different weather, a different place to play. So you're coming to Philly. We're going to see how you do. And obviously, Jalen may have more chances to be sacked with that weather. But let's be smart about it with the play calling. Let's see what we do. But you know what I'm going to ask for, and that's running the damn ball, making things a little bit easier on Jalen Hurts. And, well, the last time we played him, you remember, Saquon Barkley had 255 effing yards against him. So, yeah, I'd love to go ahead and run the ball regardless if it confuses the media or not. He averaged 9.8 yards per carry against them, had 2 rushing touchdowns, but he also had 4 receptions for 47 yards. So this dude, let's do some work again. Roseboom, the rookie, Spates there. Look, again, the defense did well. That's fantastic. But Saquon Barkley is on an MVP level this year. And with that offensive line in front of him we just talked about, bulldoze them. Run the ball. I get 255 yards, dude. Don't tell me you can't run the ball. It's going to be a snowy game. Flashbacks to the Lions when we beat Matthew Stafford's ass in that Snow Bowl. He'll be back again for a little Snow Bowl, and this time it's going to be Saquon running all over the Rams defense. So run the damn ball, and you make it easier on number 1, QB1, Jalen Hurts going up against this Rams defense. So first time we played him, only 15 completions, 22 attempts there, had 179 yards, 1 touchdown. If you ask the media, we lost the game, even though we won 37-20. He didn't have over 200 yards. I'm a dumbass. Yeah, we hear it, dude. We get it. And I keep seeing, well, Jalen Hurts can't win games if he doesn't throw for over 200 yards. That is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life because, well, it's just not true. So, you know, they talk about how he can't throw. This dude right now is in 10-plus air yards. Like when he's throwing for over 10-plus, he's 3rd in the NFL. When it's 25-plus, he's 2nd. And in the second half of games, 2nd. And when facing the blitz, he is 2nd. That's courtesy of Jeff Kerr from CBS. And I just don't understand where they get these narratives that he can't throw the ball, because when he needs to, he does. And if he needs to, he can do it against his secondary. We can protect him against his pass rush, and I think he can do some work. And not just in the air, but with his legs as well. He had 12 rushes for 39 yards last time. You know, the tush push will skew those averages and all that, but that's, dude, we've got a weapon here at QB1. And I don't understand how people hate the fact that he can run and throw. They love that Lamar Jackson can do it, but not Jalen Hurts. And that's, well, we're the wrong bird, right? So, quote the Eagle, go F yourselves. Jalen Hurts is coming out here to show you why he is still on that MVP level. And you can sleep on him all you want. You'll be his biggest fans by next Monday. So, can't wait to see it. But that's all I've got for you right now. The top 13 matchups between the Eagles and Rams this divisional round Sunday at 3 o'clock. Now, I'd love to hear your top matchups. You got a top 3, you got a top 5, top 9, whatever it is. Love to hear from you. You got any questions? Reach out. You have anything going on? You need a friend? Always here for you guys, as you are for me. I truly appreciate you guys. Hope you're having yourselves a great week. It's Friday tomorrow. Only a few days left before we're running through walls. So get yourself pumped up. Get ready for this game by tuning in tomorrow for the game status report. Who's out, who's questionable. We'll have Fan Friday live. I'll be taking all your questions, comments, everything. Saturday, you'll have the practice squad elevations. Then Sunday, pregame show and postgame show. Hope to see you throughout the rest of the week. But if you got anything from this video, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Share this bad boy. Subscribe down below. But until next time, I am Jimmy Smith. And this is On the Road to Victory. You all stay safe out there. And as always, go Birds!